All right, everybody, good afternoon and welcome on back. Continuing along our Tuesday, May 19th, shortly after 2:30 p.m. Eastern time, guys. Welcome on back for our afternoon meeting. Let's get a quick sound check just to begin. Make sure everyone can hear me loud and clear. Great to see everybody as always. Nancy, who's just dipping out for the day. Nancy F., I want to give her a big shout out. She's leaving our trading room for the day. She did very nicely across the market open and heading into the early afternoon. So congrats, Nancy. We'll see you tomorrow. Great to see everybody else, though. Grant, Bonnie, David, Chuck, Gene, Ben, as always. Grant, John S., Buongiorno, Andrea. And, of course, for all of our members streaming across social media, Facebook and YouTube alike, let's hop into it, guys. So, pretty flat day across the markets right now. You can see the Dow trying to inch up and up and up. But we've been making money, not necessarily off the side list stocks, but really mainly from the stocks that were on the morning watch list. And no better place to start than number one on the gainers list, guys, to begin. The NNDM. So let's just get the pre-market charting back up here. We'll do a quick recap on this. We just finished up our weekly workshop, Traders Talk, right here in the Cyber Group trading room. So that workshop, the recording of that should be on the dashboard, I'd say by this evening. But we ended up going over the beginning of this run, at least live in our workshop earlier this morning. So for this NNDM trade, we ended up seeing this hold major resistance early in pre-market off of 150, but heading into the market open. And when I say heading into the open, I literally mean leading into the open from 9:15, 9:20-ish Eastern time up until the opening bell. Well, at that point, we ended up identifying a major level. At first, it was support at 125. We ended up seeing a big order on the bid break at 125. And shortly prior to 9:30, it ended up holding it pretty nicely as resistance. Well, long story short, it took a quick little shake up and down, but that 125 level acted as the catalyst, the breakout point for this run on NNDM. Now, we ended up leaving off the Traders Talk workshop as this was kind of just pulling back a bit. It was making a bit of a, lower high at the time around 160-ish. It was moving higher from the 150 level, but it looked a little weak at the time. I mean, we certainly don't expect the NNDM when it's around 160 to make the move that it made all the way up to damn near $4. The stock is still up 295% as we speak. So, as this continued to break out, it ended up holding support off of higher lows, specifically that 150. But, from there, this one ended up making a huge run up to 2. And the most surprising part about this trade, aside from just how steady this trend was on the way up, we were commenting on this earlier. It's crazy. It was just very rare to see that this stock made the move that it made without getting halted. At no point on this run did we see any sort of, volatility halt as this was, flying up from 150 up to, almost $4. But what goes up does come back down. And, recently going into the early afternoon, we ended up commenting on this, guys. We ended up seeing a large amount of sell-off on the time and sales. It was right off of $3.90. So it's pretty close to that very high. But once we ended up seeing those prints on the tape come in, and at least for right now, we could just better say right here, once this ended up pulling back underneath 390, look at the size of the volume spike. This one ended up, making a big shake to begin, but the aftermath speaks for itself. So, what goes up, unfortunately, does come back down pretty quickly. And for a stock like the NNDM that made such a big move up across the day already, well, normally it doesn't make a second big move heading into the close, right? And that's usually the go-to line. So for what it's worth, we'll come back to this. I mean, maybe if we have a smaller list, I wouldn't mind just putting this on the side or just on the tail end. But like I'd said, though, with the amount of volume it traded already across the day and the move that it made, I would like to believe it, is kind of tired, exhausted. So for right now, we'll come back to this maybe at the very end. All right, so NNDM we did very nicely on, another one from the gainer side. And what we'll do really quickly shortly after is just go from top to bottom. The DVAX trade, you can see that I have my chart all marked up because we were covering this as well in our Traders Talk workshop. But nonetheless, this one ended up, making a nice run for us. But here's the thing, guys, and this is a really important lesson, and this goes just for everyone, not just our, trading room members here, but everyone streaming across social media. When good news comes out, you'd like to think the stock is going to make a positive move, a run up. And when bad news comes out, you'd like to think otherwise. Well, we ended up seeing a huge pop in the after hours off of news on DVAX. And leading into the open, one would expect, well, hey, maybe at some point today, this could present a good buying opportunity. It doesn't mean it's going to happen right away. And if anything, if there is an opportunity and we look to try and take advantage of it, we have to make sure that we have our support steady and identified already, because this was a big head fake. I know a few of our members here inside the trading room, myself in particular, I ended up going long off of 7. It made the breakout over 7, but it ended up coming right back down afterwards, guys. And so to say, using perhaps Fausto's 30-second rule, very quickly off of a big volume-based level, you're able to identify if it's going to make the run that you would like, or at least the direction that you're hoping for it to run in, or not. And here, I ended up taking a loss. It was about 6 or 7 cents on the way down. But from that point, look how far it dropped afterwards, right? So, ultimately, this stock ended up acting as a great short opportunity. Starting from that point, but really, once it broke underneath support, we had a big iceberg order, even from pre-market. You could just see it from the chart. It's holding very nicely, 675. And once 675 broke, that ended up providing us a very good opportunity to short this stock. So this was one of our best moves, guys. Just, early in the morning, we weren't exactly focused on the short. It came to us, if anything. So, nice drop off. Now at this point, though, you could see the run up here. So, this DVAX trade, I would say, hey, for as much of a move as it's made, as, much volume as it's traded, much like NNDM, it certainly has exhausted itself out. But, hey, for this stock, we were able to short this on the way down. And at this point, if it's not going to break any lower, perhaps we're going to get a squeeze back up. So we've already had that so far, but perhaps we could see more to come. I'm easily going to put this one on our main list, at least, the DVAX. All right. I see a couple of shouts. Jerry picking up $1.83 a share on the crazy Pixie stock. So you know what? We spoke about number 1. We spoke about number 4. Let's just go from top to bottom, like I said, guys. Pixie, number 2, Jerry just picked up $1.83. He entered from $11. And I have to say, not just because it moved up in his direction, but, if Jerry ended up entering right off the pop here from 11, this is exactly what we just covered in Traders Talk earlier this morning, guys. Is it not? Hey, for such a big volume-based level at 11, you would like to think at some point it's going to provide as a strong entry level for us, whether it, break down right away and provide a good short opportunity. We can't short the stock. And then, or otherwise, if it holds off the lows and moves back up, I'm thinking Jerry entered right off here. This popped through 11, paid off handsomely. Very nice job, Jerry. I think you meant to write 83 cents, not the $1.83. Yeah, Ben, I was looking at that. I think Jerry picked up 83, not the $1.83 there, Jerry, but still a very nice profit. Alrighty, so, Pixie, we're going to put on our list, given this recent move off the lows, off of support, perhaps, again, for as much as this dropped, maybe it's finally time to see a bigger squeeze back up. Alrighty, so again, let's just go from top to bottom again, like I said before. BOXL, Ben called this one out earlier. Nice cheap stock from the early afternoon, but looks done. Doesn't really look of note for right now. It's holding support perhaps, but I feel like we'll find better opportunity otherwise. Yeah, SKN. Oh, I'm going to pass on a couple of these guys. We'll skim through. We go from top to bottom. DS, it's easy for me to say, but very steady trend right now. It's building a beautiful pennant, in fact, where the highs and lows across the last 10 or so minutes are kind of squeezing in a bit. So it leads to more of an indecision here as far as this, potentially going to just snap and break lower, or is it going to make the big breakout that, this stock is trending up to be right now? So DS, I'll put on our main list. And if anything, if it craps out the other way, well, for right now, at least for those that have TradeStation, doesn't say hard to borrow, so this would be a tradable opportunity. But right now, we're more focused on the trend up and perhaps the breakout higher going into the end of the day. All right, ABUS, another stinker from earlier today. Dropped off early on, but you have to look at the resistance here off of 240-ish, 239, 240. Holding it very nicely, guys. So it's very similar to Jerry's entry there on Pixie. Hey, if it snaps through this resistance 240 or so, perhaps we could see a better run up heading into the end of the day. I don't mind putting this on the side for right now at the NNDM. Just pretty slow and still just range bound. So I'd rather us not watch the grass grow heading into the last hour of the day. So if there's better opportunity, we'll focus on those first, but perhaps we'll come back to that trade, ABUS. Nice one, HTBX. I thought I saw this called out earlier in the room. Just let me take a quick look. I'll do a quick scan. I thought I did. Yeah, Ben was trading this earlier. 1:35 Eastern time. He ended up picking up 4 cents on the trade. Quick in and out from 68 cents. You know what? Moved up nicely. Again, though, it's one of those cheapies that it made a nice pop from the market open. It's moved up that much more so far this afternoon. How much higher can this go? So again, we'll kind of brush this to the side. I like the NNDM more. I like the ABUS, and if that ends up popping, over this HTBX, but we'll come back to this, I reckon. I saw this one already. VJet, talk about, kind of like a pump and dump type stock. This one ended up making a nice run up. We were calling this out at the high, so we missed the run up on this trade. Thankfully, or I hope at least, from you guys, none of us entered this stock, because by the time I found it and called it out, it was just at major resistance at 150. It held 150, came back down, and unfortunately, that was the end of the run. So I'm going to pass on that VJet. Kind of disappointing move. OSTK near the highs of the day right now. I was going to zoom out. Let's see, overstock. So nice flag building here, guys, right off the highs, 1825. Easily going to put this on our list. And you know what? OSTK is a blockchain stock, guys, or it's a company in affiliation with blockchain tech. So if Bitcoin's rallying, let's take a look. I'm going to take a look at Riot, which is, for what it's worth, moving up off support 230 to 235. Mara, pretty dead right now, not doing much. DPW. All right, well, Overstock definitely on our list. Riot, we'll put on our side list for right now. If that ends up showing any further signs of life, by the time we come back to it, we'll put that on our main list. I will say, just like I've said before, guys, and hey, at some point I'll be wrong, because, much like anything else in trading, nothing is 100%. RIOT Riot, for as much as we've been following this stock, it has never made an afternoon move for us. It's been a pre-market move. It's been a morning move. It's rarely ever been an afternoon move. I saw one of our traders, Bali, pick up, I think, like 8 or 10 cents on her trade going into the afternoon last week. That's as much as you're going to get on this trade. So that was a great trade from Bali at the time. I'll come back to this. I would love to see the breakout. Don't get me wrong, because this is a level 1 stock for the most part, level 1 to 2. It's not, too difficult of a trade. So I would love to be wrong no more than anyone else. We'll come back to this, though. I saw a bigger pop just a moment ago, guys. It was in this MRNS trade. Yep, and it's right back to the high of the day. So MRNS, I saw just as I was flipping through my scanners just heading into this meeting. And at the time, it was right where it's at right now, 295 or so. So missed out on the first leg up of this trade, but I love this stock going into the afternoon. Just double top at the highs, major resistance at 3, and then on top of that, much like that DS trade and DVAX as well, perhaps, it is shortable. So if it ends up going the complete other way, being a total head fake, which, I always have to mention because it's happened before, and I'll go through one or so in a moment. But, normally we're going to look to focus on the trend first. So focus on the way up and a potential breakout over 3. All right. Let's see. You know what? Speaking of which, let's go to that VBIV trade. VBIV is a stock that is shortable. that we were watching earlier. It was a nice level 1 trade on the way up, and we ended up seeing some big selling, some sell-off coming in right around 265, 266. So when I talk about a stock crapping out the other way or going the other way in that sense, I mean, this is what I'm talking about. So, we called this out earlier. It was a nice short from 265 or so down to 250. It's still there for the meantime. So for what it's worth, I honestly don't mind putting this VBIV just kind of on the middle of our list, maybe even near the back end. It's just a very tradable stock. For right now, again, we'll focus on the trend. And in this case, we're going to focus on a potential breakdown underneath 250 here, it seems like. Stocks had a nice run up across the last, week and a half, 2 weeks, essentially going from like 140 back on the 11th, which is a little over a week ago. So actually, 8 days ago, this stock was at 140 and moved up towards the high of the day today of 269 with minimal drop off. We did see back on Friday last week a big down day, but an even further up day. So, it does present a good opportunity, both long or short. All right. Let's hop over to the losers list, see if there's anything looking good on that side. Then I'll check out the comments just from social media. Guys, if there's anything else that you would want me to look at just from the chat board in the trading room, let me know right now. And then afterwards, I'll just look at that and we'll finish up. Bunch of stuff hard to borrow. No surprise there on the losers list to begin. GOSS trade, GOSS. I mean, it has a tight spread. It's trading about 6,500 shares per minute. And in relation to the size of the orders on the ECN book, that's not too little. You know what? This is the difference between perhaps me and Fausto. I don't think Fausto would put this on his afternoon list if he was doing the meeting. I'm going to put this just on our list for the meantime. If we have better opportunity aside from this GOSS trade, by the time we finish up, then perhaps I'll eliminate it. But, it's shortable in case if it goes the other way. It's still down 16%, which is a pretty big margin overnight. So, it's been squeezing up nicely from around 1250. The spreads are tight. It's not too illiquid of an order book, as I like to say. So, we'll put this one on our list for right now. Again, if we have a further opportunity, then we'll focus on that. TDCA could very well be that, just in comparison to the volume that the other one's trading, that GOSS trade. It's trading less volume total, bit of a spread on the ECN book, and less volume on the bid and the ask. The size of the orders, total orders likely. Nice downtrend, and you'd figure it's at support. I want to see if there's just anything a little bit more volume-wise. TDCA. DBVT. More volume on the book here than the other one even. Less volume total, though, otherwise. 450 big support. Good setup if you think about it. But, again, we'll skip over this for right now. CLVS on the losers list. That ACB trade I want to come back to. Yeah, CLVS, if we were able to short this stock, it would have been one of my favorites from earlier today. The ACB trade, it's still pulling back, so it doesn't seem like that one's really in a position at this point to make a bigger squeeze back up. It ended up breaking underneath big support off of 16, and it's been dropping since. So we'll come back to this, or rather, well, yeah, we'll come back to this not today, probably tomorrow or Thursday, Friday, right? But let's go to Tilray, TLRY, some of the other pot stocks at least. Tilray made a nice pop against the grain as ACB was dropping off earlier today. Still holding around, VWAP price. Cron, CGC, the other pot stocks. CGC looks the best one of them, I'd say. You know what? Well, every now and then you kind of stumble upon one of these guys. I mean, you knew I was going to type in CGC if I was going through all of the pot stocks, but I didn't really focus on this one as much up until this point. So, for right now, I like this one. I'm going to put this on our list at least. All right. Now let's see what else do we have. Anything else on the loser side? mRNA dropping off. Still have to go through that very quickly. Again, it's one of those stocks that I tend to say, you know, it's a level 5 stock. It's super expensive, and alongside that, I mean, it's very well shortable. So this was a great short early on this morning. Once it ended up breaking underneath 78, you could see it was holding above that for a moment, but failed to break out any higher. So once it breaks lower, that's a trigger point. That's a good opportunity to try and short. And for what it's worth, it does seem like around 75 or 74.50, just as it was breaking lower and lower into the afternoon. That could have been a pretty decent opportunity to look for a short. And it still seems like it could be a good short going into the close. So, you know, I'm not going to put this on my list or on our list, so to say. You know who you are if you're trading the stock. That's what I tend to say there. All right, let's see. I will comment on the stock and just say that the spreads are pretty tight given the price and the volatility. So if there's one compliment I can give it in relation to just how volatile it could be, it's the fact that the spreads are fairly tight on this mRNA trade. All right, nothing else really comes to mind on the loser side, guys. Current time is 2:52, so I'm gonna finish up here. Let me know if there's anything else that you would want me to look at otherwise here in the chat board or across social media. BCRX from Chuck, a few shouts on that one. Up 5+%, sideless stock. I know that. Moving up nicely. And, you know, it's a stock that we've done well on across the last week or so, right? All right. We're going to put this on the side list, Chuck. I like this one probably more than the others that are on the side list. We're going to do a quick shuffle around just at the very end and see which one of these I'll focus on. Kevin says DS is a steady trend all day. Yep, that one's already on our list. That one made the cut already. So I do like that one, that DS trade. From Ben LUV, and he shouted that out a bit earlier as well. So Southwest Airlines pushing up pretty nicely. Figure with the market perhaps. Dow is, you know, inching up slowly heading into the afternoon. So we'll focus on some of the airlines. Looks like AAL is having a tough time with that 10 level. UAL. Ooh, even UAL is kind of nasty. It's like just so shaky there. So I will say LUV is the strongest of the airlines so far that we've seen. Maybe Spirit Airlines. Nope, not even that. Delta. Delta's looking all right. You know, sideless stocks, guys. That's it. So if you see more traction in the market up or down going into the afternoon, then I would simply look to follow some of these stocks that you're seeing here. The airlines, the cruise lines, the gaming stocks. That's been the side list for the last month and a half. There's been, at least on my end, extremely little change as far as what's on my, you know, backup list, my side list, because all of these present, you know, great opportunity on a day-to-day basis. RCL, a little pricier. Penn National Gaming ran up very nicely earlier on today. This one has a pretty good setup, and this one's up the most out of all of them. So in particular, I may throw that Penn trade on our list. MGM, you know, moved up nicely as well. Caesars, you know, cheaper, slower. I will put Penn on our list, just ripping through the side list stocks. This one seems to be the most active, although it's, you know, in a tight range still at this point, but holding 25 nicely, inching up towards 25.40-ish, 25.50. All right. And then lastly, I'll just check out from social media here. I saw from Peter, ACB for a short. He took $1 on Pixie, but it would have gone up even more if he stayed in. So you got to take the money and run, though, Peter, especially for a crazy one like Pixie. I'll be honest, with Pixie this morning, guys, for as big of a move as it made in pre-market, it's that exact reason that I told myself just I would expect for it to dump off. And I was wrong. I mean, this one ended up popping at the open for the trend that it had. I mean, you would have to figure it's going to pop, then drop, but it ended up running up afterwards. So I missed out on this entire trade. Now it's beginning to kind of slip back a bit more. So Peter, you might get your short. For anyone that's able to short this stock, you know, this would be on the list, but I don't think that we've been able to, any one of us here in the trading room at least. All right, let me go to my Benzinga Pro, and then we'll clean up from there, guys. We got SGMO new high of the day of 4%. Ran earlier. Pulling back now. Just nice steady trend. Lake, LAKE, Lakeland Pharmaceuticals, popping up right now as well, but low volume, not doing nearly enough for me to focus on here. All right, that's fun. I just wanted to take a look at those just because I got pinged from Benzinga Pro there. All right, guys, but we're good, though. Oh, and actually, really quick, I'm sorry. Let me just rip through the side list stocks there, like I had said at the tail end. Riot, pulling back, Bitcoin stock, or blockchain stock, rather. I told you guys I would not expect this to make an afternoon run. I would love to be wrong, but I don't think it's going to happen. We'll pass on this. HTBX. Again, it's one of those stocks that has moved up enough for me to say, at what point is this going to begin to dump off? It has from the high of the day off of basically 77 cents. And again, not really, enough for me to put on our list so far. ABUS, it's at that 240. That could be a good setup. It's kind of wiggling its way up there, maybe over the last 5 or so minutes. TCDA trade, it looks like that one ended up, squeezing back up a bit. The NNDM trade, crazier one from earlier today. Listen, given the range on this NNDM stock, guys, from low to high today, is it possible for this stock to make a 25-cent move, a 30-cent move? By all means, yes. Given the range here, yes. But do I expect this to make a second big clean run up going into the close? No, I wouldn't expect that. I would be shocked if this one ended up, making a similar type of move going into the close as we saw it open up with. All right, so that leads me to Chuck's BCRX. We'll take a look at that. Ugh, pulled back here a bit. It's not Chuck's fault. It was a nice call out at the time, Chuck. And for what it's worth, there's a huge print on the tape at $5.14, a 157,000 share print. So, it's a good side list stock. For right now, I'm not going to put this on the main list either. But you know what? We have a decent list already, guys. We have in total 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. Not bad for me, guys. So 9 stocks to work with going into the close. Let me just text these out, tweet these out to you guys, and we'll go from there. All right. So as I always like to say, guys, let's try and close out this afternoon as well as we had opened it up. All right, guys. So for all of us streaming across social media, once more, if you'd like to learn more about what we offer here at CTU, whether it be the online trading room or the online classroom, and for our students here, keep in mind, as we'll look to keep you reminded going into tomorrow. Class tomorrow, we have phase 1 continuing with lesson number 3 early in the morning at 10:30 Eastern time. So we'll keep you guys well informed just with the links and times just furthermore going into this evening and tomorrow. All right, guys, aside from that, take care and enjoy the rest of your day.